Hey guys, Brent here for Otaku no Video. This is my spring 2009 anime guide where I'm going to talk about 16 different anime series that came out in the past month or so in Japan. Starting out with the good stuff, Eden of the East, probably my favorite this series. Basically, boy and girl meet, the boy has no memories and apparently was a terrorist. Full-scale, like, terrorist guns, bombs kind of thing. And he's kind of he's on the run, trying to figure out what's going on, and really nice relationship between the two characters. A lot of attention to realism and detail, and a lot of potential for this series for some good drama and thriller type stuff. Just good stuff all the way through. Then K-On!, Kyoto Animation's latest series for this season. Essentially, it's kind of like Lucky Star, only more serious, more realistic. You know that the bit in Haruhi with that like all-girl band that Haruhi ends up getting involved in, it's essentially the story of that band. I mean, not really, but it's as though it is that. Kind of a Lucky Star-ish feel to it again, but well, think more Strawberry Marshmallow or Hitomari Sketch. Lovely animation, attractive character designs, lively, interesting characters, but very much a high school slice of life comedy, but with sort of a plot moving along through. Definitely enjoyable. Sengoku Basara. Oh man. You know those giant robot shows from the 70s where all the men are very manly? That, but in Edo era Japan. So it's all with warlords and their second in commands, and like they find each other and they fight and literally they hit each other and there's a huge like spirit ball explosion and like the ground underneath them, you know, shatters. Production IG, great animation, really fun characters. It knows that it's not being serious, but it knows how to do that in a way that's not completely silly. Well, it's silly in a sense, but just that really fun. We know what we're doing, and we know how to make this just a great ride. So if you can, you know, get into that and sort of let go of full scale realism, I think it's a great ride. Similarly, Basquash, Shoji Kawamori's series, where basically he says, okay, I'm gonna do a lighthearted series about giant robots playing basketball, and I promise not to get political. And that's what it is. I mean, the world looks like Tekken Concrete, the animation looks like Gainax, the characters look like Gainax. Fun, over-the-top kind of world and setting and characters, and just really, really fun. As is typical with Kawamori, there's plenty of potential for some deep stuff to happen and some great character stuff. He's definitely a character guy. And just the first episode is a really solid first episode for a fun show like that. Kind of opposite end of the spectrum, Hatsukoi Limited. Basically the story of apparently like 8 or 9 middle school and high school students whose lives all intertwine. First episode is sort of a comedic romance episode. A little ecchi, but good-hearted. Very nice character designs, you know, solid animation all the way through. Nothing too surprising, but it is a sort of more a romance slice of life kind of a story. You know, solid all the way around. Asura Cryin is in this mainly for one element. Basically, it is a supernatural combat show. Think kind of Shaman King-ish, although you know, more mature. Main character basically has to use this ghost ally to fight other people and defend himself. The main thing, well, it has really good characters, but also he was in this plane crash 3 years ago, along with his childhood friend, a girl who died in the plane crash. And she wouldn't leave him. So she's been sitting there as a ghost next to him and all the time. But they have this really sweet relationship. They're just, you know, there's none of the bickering and arguing. They just chat all the time. And I just really like that relationship. And the idea of him using her as his sort of spiritual sidekick is a really neat twist to the whole, you know, supernatural combat concept. Then you have Cross Game. Basically, it's as if Rumiko Takahashi decided to do a baseball story. That's what it is. So it's a kind of it's a sports series with a romance and kind of romantic comedy element to it. I'm not a big sports anime fan, so I'm probably not going to watch any more of it than what I saw, just the first episode. But it's definitely solid, and if I just was into that kind of thing at all, I definitely would be into it. Now we're moving into some more of the more okay territory. A lot of these are things which could be quite good, just didn't really grab me. Tears to Tiara, basically a very generic epic fantasy series. Perfectly fine, you know, girl who's the key to the Twilight or something, and boy has to rescue her before the Demon King is summoned and all that stuff. Again, perfectly fine, just very standard fantasy. Guin Saga, another fantasy series, in this case a young prince and princess, their kingdom is attacked, they run and escape, and they're being chased, and they end up stumbling across this barbarian who defends them and protects them, but he has the head of a cheetah, and he has no idea why, he has no memory. So, interesting kind of questions there as to who he is, and he's going to try to figure out what's going on. I really like the character work there. The characters all feel realistic, and the animation's quite good, but the first episode was just kind of sluggish to get going. 07 Ghost, the shonen training in a military academy and then beating the crud out of each other with magical attacks. If you like that kind of stuff, great. For me, just it's bishies beating each other up. And then Murray and Gali, basically a cute goth loli girl finds herself in this weird, very colorful world, and with this weird sort of Galileo character. Fun, definitely unusual art style, nice to see something unusual out there, but they're kind of mindless. Doesn't really come together. And, episodes are short, like 15 minutes, so they're certainly hard to judge. But again, first episode just didn't really catch me too much. Now moving into more of the territory, Queen's Blade, a lot of nudity, a lot of ecchi material, some really fun characters. The angel in particular I enjoyed, but not particularly exciting. And the weird thing is, like, it's got this really, like, the girls wear almost nothing, ridiculous outfits, but it also like tries to be serious at times, and it just doesn't really fit. It's like it doesn't really know quite what it's trying to be, and it's almost like it's trying too much to go in a direction that really doesn't fit its world and its setup. And sometimes it knows how to be goofy, sometimes it doesn't. Just didn't really work for me. Charady's Daily Joke, again, kind of unusual comedy. Basically, there's a streaming device of this cute, like adult girl who is narrating this joke, and then you see this like 2D sketchy animated version of the joke told in between. Fine, the joke was really obvious. Maybe again that was first episode disease, but it just again didn't really do anything for me, and I kind of sat there going, yeah, I'm not quite sure why they're doing this. Slap Up Party. It's Korean. Everything about it is perfectly fine. It's basically One Piece. It's comedic action adventure in pretty equal measures, and the characters are kind of goofy, and there's action stuff going on and characters sort of fighting each other. Again, nothing wrong with it, but it just kind of, nothing in it really was above average. Or, well, I mean, the animation was fine, the characters were fine and so forth, but nothing really stood out. Unfortunately, I can't say the same for Examurai Sengoku. It's essentially trying to do Samurai Champloo, but with no budget. Doesn't really work very well. It looks bad, and the character designs just don't really work well, and the hip-hop elements don't work well. Just doesn't really work. It might get better, but eh. So, nah. That's the main lists. You'll notice I've missed Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood, mainly because I have not finished watching the original Fullmetal Alchemist, so I didn't want to watch this sequel series. If you liked Fullmetal, you're going to watch Brotherhood. If you didn't, you're probably not. I don't think I'm leaving that out and ruining it for you. So those were my initial comments on the first episodes of all those series. Let me know what you think. Post in comments. Let me know if you think I'm completely off base. Be happy to talk with you about these things. And that's it for me. Take care.